Good morning. Oh, I didn't put my headset. I'm gonna go without the headset because if I put it on now, then it does that weird glitchy thing. 9 a.m. straight up on September 30th, 2022. And our title today, Windows Daily 66, Fixing a Reported Slow Computer Remotely. I'll get a sound check here by unmuting that. I'll get a sound check here by unmuting that. I get a sound check here by unmuting that. I get a sound check here by unmuting that. Headset is still plugged in from the Fortnite game. Headset is still plugged in. And you're probably hearing an echo. Well, that was happening. Did you hear echo before I muted that? Right off the bat, look at this. I'm having a wonderful Friday morning with a $9.99 super chat from Tony Wallow and a $5 from Rick Lakes. Thank you so much, guys. That put a smile on my face. Let me tell you what. I see a bunch of friendly names here. Mornings DVR, W do good. Put the watch down. Yeah, Selden Ball says many layers of echoing. Lots of echoes gone now. And Ken Stout says, no daily DaVinci today. We are still at the testing site. All right. Thank you for that heads up. Now, so we got a bonus today of sorts because the title of this was still is, Fixing Windows Daily, number 66, Fixing a Reported Slow Computer Remotely. But I actually have two computers to report on, because the client that I had an appointment with for 8 a.m. this morning, remote appointment after I finished Fortnite, I just finished with him. Turns out kind of the same idea about troubleshooting a reported slow computer remotely. So yesterday, driving back from Huntington Lake to Fresno, I get a phone call from a client and the phone starts ringing. And I'm right in a mountain town at the time, so I just pull on the brakes and pull off into a parking stall right off the road and answered the phone call. And he says the computer is just doesn't work. I think is what he said. It was kind of a strong wording that he said. And then when I went back and looked, I found that there was actually a voicemail from earlier in the day that I had totally missed, just looking at the transcript, because he says, oh yeah, I need to have help with my computer. It's not computing, was his technical description. And then let's see, it's Mary came on the line and John and Mary. And then Mary was saying it's really slow, and getting a message on the side of the screen that scan is no longer activated. Still really don't know or care about what that was. And slowness is the really problem. It's ridiculous. Let's see what else. There's a whole couple paragraphs of this voicemail translated text. Yeah, so that's sufficient. And somewhere along the line, he said, maybe it's time for a new computer. So I told him that I'm traveling and I want to get back home, then we'll check it out. So I get back home and I check to see if I can connect remotely to his computer. It shows us online. So I try to connect to it, and my Log Me and Rescue tries to connect to the computer, and it takes a long time before I get that ding that some of you have heard when I've connected remotely to other people's computers during live streams to help them with issues. And then I click on the remote connection button. After the first connection is made, I click on a button to actually bring up their screen. And it's trying and trying and trying, brings up part of the screen, and then it crashes out. And I try again, bring up the screen, and it crashes out. So I said, Mary, can you take a picture of those little icons down the bottom right corner and send that picture to me? She'd already described it a little bit. And I have some pictures to show you. So here's the picture that really counts. Here's the icons in the notification area. And these red bars here are immediately the suspect. And she'd already described this. And I was pretty sure the direction that this troubleshooting was going to go. Now we have these signal bars over here, which is also Wi-Fi. This signal bars is for a booster that we have on the computer, because this computer in his home environment is just a couple walls away from the Wi-Fi device, but there's a reason why it was having very difficult Wi-Fi connection. So we put in this signal booster. That's what these bars are for. And so this signal strength here is part of the equation. But when this is red, there is a message that she's read to me from the screen that wasn't visible when she took the photograph, that says that device is not connected, but it was actually connected to the computer at the time. I'm going to show you what that device is. Over here, it's the D-Link DWA-140 range booster draft. I don't know why they had the word draft there. It's wireless USB adapter, but it's a range booster. It's not a little weird how this functions. I don't really fully understand it. You see here on the box, the range boosters. It doesn't say Wi-Fi USB adapter. It's a range booster. It is boosting the signal for the Wi-Fi that's built into the computer. So the Wi-Fi adapter that's built into the computer is still functioning, still functional. This somehow boosts the signal. So when the range booster is reporting that it's not connected, then we have whatever the internal Wi-Fi adapter is able to pick up. That's all we have. So that's running really slow. So I asked Mary, have you restarted the computer? And she said, yes, we've done that a bunch of times. And it hasn't helped. Okay, so go on to the next step. I asked her to disconnect the range booster, the USB where it plugs into the computer. Disconnect it, leave it disconnected for a few seconds, and then plug it back in. She does that. No improvement. Then I asked her to send me a picture of the range booster device itself, because I wasn't quite sure how it was connected. So here's the picture that she sends me of that. So here's the range booster device, this D-Link device. It's got an orange light showing here, and it's got some kind of a refresh button here, and it's plugged into what I recognize as a USB extension. This is just a piece of plastic extension that sits on the desk, and that is a USB socket right there. So it's just plugged into that USB, and there's a wire going to the computer, plugged into the computer. So this device is, and I remembered this when I saw it, it is in this extension. I'm not certain that that extension came with the device. I think it did, but I have those in with me anyway. This allows you to put either a USB Wi-Fi dongle, or in this case, this range booster, on top of the desk or in a place that's in a better line of sight to the Wi-Fi router. So I asked her to disconnect it from there. I explained to her that is like that device that says D-Link on it is just like a USB thumb drive, and that piece of plastic that's sitting on the desk is just a socket. So you can pull that out and plug it back in. So she did that. No improvement. Then let's see. Oh, on my remote, on my Log Me and Rescue, I have a connection to the computer, but I can't bring up the screen, but I'm still connected to the computer. When that is the case, I am able to pull up some information. I'm able to query what programs are running. I can see how much CPU utilization and disk utilization, those kinds of things, but only momentarily. It takes a snapshot. I don't get to see it real time like you would have when you open Task Manager. But one of the things that I can do is I can issue a restart command. So I told her I want to try sending a restart command from my side here. I asked her to close down any programs you had open. She did have a couple programs open. So then I sent the restart command. We waited for a while for it to restart. When it came back up, I tried to connect to it remotely, and boom, worked like a snap, worked like a charm, whatever I want to say. And the signal bars for the range booster were now green. Everything looked good. I asked her to go ahead and try launching some programs, see how it's working. Now this person, John, he's getting close to 90 years old, I think, and they've given me permission to share information about his systems there. So that's why I'm using their first names. And he's been a longtime user of AOL. He still has the desktop version of AOL. And he does his email through there and does everything through there. And before you start trying to tell me to train him on something else, no, we're not going to do that. He's comfortable with this. It's a don't teach an old dog new tricks kind of thing. So it works. He's fine with it. And it came up fine. Everything's working beautifully. So I go into, I said, well, Mary, you told me that you restarted the computer. Can you show me? Now I'm connected to the computer. Can you show me? How did you go about restarting it? And so what she shows me is going to the start button, click on start menu, and then click power. And then she told me she clicked shutdown. And I said, well, that's not a restart. That says there's a restart right under it. That's restart. This one that says shutdown, that's not a restart. And she says, well, yeah, but that's more thorough. I said, no, not always. So I took her into the way I get into this is I just do a search for power space ampersand to get to power and sleep settings. And then come over here to additional power settings. And then come up here to choose what the power buttons do, which is a weird place to go for this. And then we're looking in here for fast startup. We don't see fast startup here because I don't have fast startup enabled, but Windows 10 by default has fast startup enabled. I can't even enable it, but if it is enabled, then it will show up on this screen. And so I showed her that check mark was there. It was grayed out. So we had to press on that button to show items that are not available, like I just did here a moment ago. Get back to here. Yeah, this one, change settings that are currently unavailable, because there was a check mark in this box for use fast startup, whatever the wording is for that. So I explained to her what happens is when you choose shutdown the way you showed me there, the computer does a partial shutdown. And it's Microsoft's way of kind of cheating in a sorts to give people the impression that their computer is starting up faster. But it is not a full shutdown. So Mary, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off this check mark so that if you do that again, if you do select shutdown, you will actually get a full shutdown. When the computer starts up, it might take longer to start up, but he leaves his computer on all the time, so that's rarely going to be experienced. And really, it's only going to be noticeable if you have a spinning hard drive, which he might have. I know some of you are going to say, Doug, replace it with an SSD. No, he's very light in his computer usage. He's fine. Not every spinning drive has to be replaced with an SSD right now. All right, you can tell I get a little frustrated with people saying, oh, you got to do this. You got to do. No, we don't have to do. No, not everything has to be up at the most current right now. All right, I'm going to try to get off of that because my mind goes there. So anyway, that was the solution, is just get a full normal restart. And she did know that. So I got the thing that I wanted to emphasize here in this and bring this up is when somebody calls you or contacts you with a particular complaint, don't take their word for what the issue is. Now we got another phase here that we're going to go on to. We're not quite done yet, but just for this part, when they call you or tell you that they got a problem, don't take their diagnosis as to give you any kind of a persuasion as to which way to turn for this. Now, if I didn't have remote connection, what else would I have done? Well, I would have done the same thing that I already described. Tell me what's going on with those icons down there. And I started from the right. I said, there's the time and date. Tell me what the next icon is to the left. And what was her response to that? Let's go see. What was the next icon to the left? She told me, well, it's those red signal bars. And I remembered that we have a range booster on this, and she had already told me that she had a message about the range booster not connected. So what's left to the left of that? And she says it looks like a speaker icon. And then what's to the left of that? Well, it's a green thing with a kind of a rounded rectangle, and we didn't know what that was. I could ask her to right click on it and tell me what comes up, but I just told her what's next to the left of that. And then it's a signal bar icon. How many bars does it show? She said 1. And so that gives me a good idea where, and then I would have gone into the restart. Now, what I would have done if I didn't have the opportunity to connect remotely is I would have asked her, tell me, how did you actually do the restart? What did you click on? Because sometimes if I just ask them, how did you restart the computer? And I said, well, I restarted it. Well, I rebooted it. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, I turn it off and on. Well, how did you do that? What button did you press? Because I don't know does that mean they pressed the power button on the computer? What did they do? Did you, you need to start asking them some true false questions or multiple choice questions to get them specifically. Don't just ask them, what did you do? Because they don't know what to say. Did you click on the Windows button in the bottom left corner of the screen? Yes. What did you click on then on that menu? Was it the round power symbol that has kind of a vertical line at the top of it? Yes. Okay, then what did you click on? That should have given you the choices of, oh, it might have been hibernate, it might have been sleep, it might have been shut down. And I think there's restart after that. I don't have those. I don't rattle those off. They're visible. Why would I have that by memory? What did you click on then? Did you click on shutdown or did you click on restart? She would have answered, I clicked on shutdown. Now, when I pointed out to her about restart, when I was showing that to her on screen, she said, oh, yes, I did do that. Did you do that today? No, it was on another day. Was it yesterday? Well, I'm not sure. But she has done that in the past. That doesn't count. We need that today to restart. Now, then the next level that I would go to, and I did that this morning with that client after I finished Fortnite. I called him, and what I did with him, because he also has a Wi-Fi issue, is I asked him to hold down the Windows key and press the letter R. And then type shutdown space /S space /T space 3. Now, there are other ways I could have gone about that. But this way, it was more kind of in your face or intense or more complex. I wanted him to type all this out because when we do this command, you're going to get a message on screen saying your computer is shutting down. And it's going to take 3 seconds because we're doing a /T for timeout and the number 3 for 3 seconds. So his computer achieved a full shutdown. In his case, my 8 a.m. client this morning, it fully shut down. I had him press the power button to turn it back on. He was also getting a bad Wi-Fi connection, suspected bad Wi-Fi connection. So he turned it back on. His problem was not resolved for that. What I told him to do is go over to Best Buy or Office Depot or Office Max and buy a USB Wi-Fi adapter. It's probably going to be somewhere from $15 to $30. When you get to the store, if it's not an obvious choice to you, take a picture of what's available and send it to me by text. If I don't respond right away, then call me so that I can help you make the right choice there in the store. Because I think what he's got there, he's got a laptop that's kind of due for replacement. But other than the Wi-Fi, it actually still functions just fine. You've seen his computers before on my channel. It's Sheldon. So now we need to get on to the next element of John and Mary. Oh yeah, so the restart bit, and I was explaining what I would have done if I didn't have remote connection. And then if the restart doesn't work, do a full shutdown, because that does a full electrical reset of the components on electrical level. Most of you know that when you shut down a computer, it isn't completely shut down. The power supply is still awake on modern computers, and the motherboard still is awake. When I shut down Big Beast Build, there's some of those lights that are still on the motherboard. And in that case, we would unplug the power, leave it unplugged for a minute, or even better, unplug the power, then hold down the power button to fully discharge capacitors on the motherboard and in the power supply. On a laptop, you could actually shut it down and pull the battery to get even more reliably of a shutdown. But you got to do that. Shutdown /S/T, or already have fast startup disabled so that you get a full shutdown, because it is not sufficient on a laptop. If you have fast startup enabled, it is not sufficient to do the normal shutdown. That's a hybrid shutdown, and then pull the battery out, give it time for capacitors to discharge, put the battery back in, plug in AC if you're using AC, turn it back on. That does not accomplish the same full power recycle, because the hard drive has a hibernation file that is storing some of the operating system's drivers in memory, so that when you start the computer up, you don't really get a full reinitialization of the operating system. I probably could have worded that better, but most of you know what I'm talking about already. Now let's move on to the next phase of John and Mary. This booster, when it turned green, this signal strength indicator still only had 1 bar. You could count that as, you could call that two bars, as the dot is 1 bar and that first arc is the 2nd bar. However you count this, there's only one of that. It's not a very good signal, put it that way. I knew that his Wi-Fi router and his internet device, which is AT&T, was in another bedroom. His computer was in one bedroom, the Wi-Fi device in another bedroom, his master bedroom even separate from those. And I knew it was in a wall. I was pretty sure it was in a wall panel, kind of like what I have. You can't see it back there, but you have seen it in the past when I had this cover off. There's a metal cover there with some wiring in it, and his AT&T router and his Wi-Fi router is in that box. So I said that, well, we've had struggles with John's computer with his Wi-Fi for a long, long time. If we have a cabling person come in and run an Ethernet cable from the router to his computer, it's just going to cause you less headaches, less trouble. But then I thought, well, before we have a cabling guy come out, we need to pull that panel off and make sure it's in there, because I didn't really know that for sure. It was just my suspicion that's where it was. So I said, Mary, can you remove that panel? And she said, yeah, I think so. And she asked John, do you have a Phillips screwdriver? And a moment passes by and she said, yes, I know what a Phillips screwdriver is, John. Something to that effect. So she takes those screws out, and then she kind of screams, kind of startled. Oh, my, something like that. Not very good impressionist for an older woman. So she pulls off, some boxes fell out. Well, the Wi-Fi box fell out. The router did not fall out. So here's the panel. Here's that metal panel with Phillips screws. It looks like it could actually be unscrewed with a flat blade screwdriver too. It looks like it's got one of those, multi-function screws. So she pulls that out and gets the panel off. And here's what it looks like. So here's the AT&T router. It's, it doesn't look like it's actually secured there. It might have dropped out, and then I think she put it back up. And then here's the Wi-Fi access point. This one's the router, and it shows the Wi-Fi network name there. And I know that that's not the current password, so I don't mind showing that. Besides, you're not going to find their house anyway. This yellow Ethernet cable here is connected to one of the Ethernet ports on the router. So I have her open that box up, and when she does that, I'm still connected to John's computer remotely, and I see the Wi-Fi connection gain another bar. It's got a stronger connection right now. Just opening that panel and letting that Wi-Fi box come out. So I have her ask, John, is it okay for us to just leave the panel off? And just, even this Wi-Fi box can be just left dangling. I don't see her hand here. I don't know what's, it looks like it's just kind of floating midair there. It might be that, I don't know how it's suspended there in the air. But anyway, I'd say it's fine if it's just dangling down the wall. I don't mind that at all. And so they both agree that we'll just leave it that way. That's just the exercise room. It's got some exercise equipment in it. It said, no, I don't mind that. So we just left it that way. And I said, Mary, go back to the computer and see how it feels now. And oh my gosh, this is so fast. It has never been that fast. And even we still don't have very good Wi-Fi strength. That computer would be even faster if we improved that connection a little bit better. Now, putting in an SSD would not help that speed at all. And I'm not sure, it might have an SSD. I don't think that computer's too old, but it might be a spinning drive. So what are we getting at here? Just looking at the solutions for Wi-Fi. Having a Wi-Fi router in a box like that, never a good idea. I think the AT&T technician put that in there and decided that was a good thing to do because it was clean and neat. Yeah. Ideally, I think even better would be, since this is the AT&T router, fine. Hang on. What would be even better would be to run a longer Ethernet cable to somewhere else in the house and put this, you're not even seeing my mouse there. Oh, you haven't been seeing me point to things, have you? Oh, it's black. Oh, this is weird. Remember what I said on a recent video about changing the mouse color to white? It is white for me when I'm hovering over a black item. But out here, I'm seeing the mouse is black. I have that inverse thing set up. Let's go fix that. Mouse settings, I press the Windows key and then mouse settings. Go into here, adjust mouse cursor and size. Here, right here, I got this selected on inverted. So if I change it to white, then come back here, now you can see that better, but when I'm in the white area, then it's not so noticeable. So that inverse setting wasn't working here. And as long as I'm here, let's make it a little bit bigger. Is that bigger enough? That's good. All right. Gee, I wonder if you guys are still hearing me. Yep, there's nothing here about, hey, Doug, the stream isn't working. And there's no text messages from Tony. All right. Did I cover all of that? Yeah, I think so. So Ken's, oh, we're right at 30 minutes, but Ken's not doing a daily Da Vinci today. Oh, darn. Let's see. Greg, I guess you might be happy with that. Greg's been teasing Ken recently about Daily Da Vinci again, really? And Ken responds with, yeah, it's called Daily Da Vinci. That's the name of the show. Yeah, let's see. Gary calls it a Faraday cage. Yeah. Still hearing me. It's like things are going okay. Ken's wife is getting tested for her nurse's license. Tony just gave me an LOL text message. Need that to be louder. It's at full volume. There's nothing else I can do with that. All right. Am I done? Told you about Sheldon. So when Sheldon goes to the store, he's going to send me a picture if it's not an obvious choice. And I told him when you go back to your computer, plug it in. It should automatically configure, but there's a possibility that we might have to disable your built-in Wi-Fi before we know that it's using the USB Wi-Fi device. And if we still have troubles, then perhaps we're looking at a new computer. Sounds to me like he's kind of okay with it being time to get a new computer. I think that's everything. So we're going to go ahead and say goodbye. I'll go read up on the chat messages after I end the video. And hey, tomorrow is Saturday. So there's no Windows Daily tomorrow. We'll have the live stream at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I don't think I have it scheduled yet because I haven't settled on a topic yet. So if anybody's got a topic they want to pitch, especially if somebody's got a situation that I can connect remotely to your computer, or you'll come into Zoom and we'll talk through an issue that you're having, I'd really like to do more of that. If you have something that you're not sure if I would want to do it, then send me an email. Ask me in that. I'd really like to get some remote connections or Zoom interaction with working through some technical topics or troubles. All right, that's it. I hope that was useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.